Hello. Making sure this is all working properly. Oh, I need to unlock that piece. There we go. Bug in my eye. I've got this like gimbal thing working with me and not against me. I am here today to talk about the upcoming event near Park City, Utah. I can't tell you what the name of the town is because it's not really a town, but it's like an hour outside of Park City. This is a 5-day retreat intensive called The Anatomy of a Masterpiece. If you've been following my work for a while, I had a previous retreat, I guess you could call it, called The Anatomy of a Miracle. This was in Amsterdam, I think in 2018, something like that. Bugs in my nose now. The Anatomy of a Masterpiece. So what is that? It's taking a look at what is a masterpiece, what is that, and how to move toward the creation of that, what kind of experience that entails. This is why I bring my sunglasses normally, because now I have to do this. What is this? What is this thing called a masterpiece? How does that happen? It doesn't happen by accident, right? Someone who, we all have different definitions of a masterpiece. Like I just saw a billboard a few days ago in Los Angeles driving through about the new Martin Scorsese movie. It says a masterpiece. And I might not agree that it's a masterpiece because I have different standards, but as far as the traditional understanding of filmmaking, people consider him to be a very masterful filmmaker. And what's interesting is that he keeps doing it over and over again, right? So he has something, right? There's something that he's really good at. And so once you can learn how to make a masterpiece, there's a kid like screaming as he's just riding his bicycle. Once you know how to make a masterpiece, you can't make something else. Does that make sense? It's like when you tap into your genius and you know what that feels like, what that looks like, and what that feels like, there's, it's easy to tap into that again. It's learning a skill. Making a masterpiece is a skill. Tapping into genius is a skill, right? So in this 5-day event, we're going to be experiencing some different approaches. So we're going to be... Hello, puppy. No, it's all right. Australian Shepherd. Hi. The aliveness that's necessary for a masterpiece to be the output, that's the study. That's what the retreat is about. It's actually not about the masterpiece. The masterpiece is I want to say it's like a it's kind of like a bait and switch. It's like you think you want to make a masterpiece, but someone who's actually making a masterpiece isn't thinking about that at all, right? It's kind of like, yeah, I can give this example in a lot of different ways. someone who is, I almost want to walk backwards here because like that would just work better for me right now. I'm just gonna do it. Builds the calf muscles. I feel silly, but I am silly, so that's kind of the point. Whoa. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get dizzy looking at the camera like that. There's something I'm learning, and it's like I've known this sort of under the surface for, God, I think it's in my nose. Bug problems. I've learned this over and over again until it's really clicking for me. Oh yeah, I'm like in a swarm of bugs right now that I can see them in the light. Whoa, I have to like navigate between these bugs. This is part of the deal. You want to hear what I say? You have to watch me spitting at bugs. That's part of the deal. The magic is in between the words. So, you either get it or you don't get it. Or you want to get it. That's cool too. Don't go inside people's noses without permission. So I said someone who's actually making a masterpiece is not focusing on the idea of a masterpiece, because that's an idea. And if you're focused on ideas, it doesn't create mastery. It's the opposite. The person who is trying to make a masterpiece is the one who cannot fail. I mean, cannot succeed. They're the one who fails at making a masterpiece. That's the typical archetype of, okay, I'm going to open up my word processor software and I'm going to start. I have high hopes to make a really good script or whatever. Blank page. What do I write? I don't know. Right? That's the vibe of someone who wants to make a masterpiece. It's a vibe of trying. It's a vibe of hoping. It's a vibe of needing to prove oneself. It's a vibe of lack of confidence, right? And I want to clarify, like, there's no such thing as a confident person versus a not confident person. You're either tapped into your genius now or you're not. So anybody can tap into it right now, or anybody can be missing the mark right now. Right? It's not like this person is so-and-so and this person is so-and-so. No. Everybody has the same opportunities. We have a different lay of the land. You know, we have different bodies and minds and upbringings and circumstances. We have different layouts of our opportunities. But what we have in common, you know, you being a person and me being a person, or whoever's listening to this, if you're not a person, please send me a message and let me know what you are. Because I've been trying to contact a talking horse for a long time now, and you know, that's kind of on my bucket list. Oh, this is the same spot where all those bugs were last time, and now there's, oh yeah, they're over there now. Cool. So, where were we? A person who's trying to make money, that can work And, you know, a person who's trying to make a masterpiece, like in the Martin Scorsese kind of realm, that can work. You know, maybe he was trying to make a masterpiece. That could be easily true. But once somebody truly taps into their genius, there's no more trying. There's no more aiming for that. When somebody truly taps into their genius, trying to make money turns off your genius. It turns off your access. There was one more example I wanted to give of that kind of thing. What was that? Masterpiece, money, and maybe relationship. Trying to, yeah, like basically marriage. Trying to get married, trying to find the one, trying to anything is the opposite of tapping into your genius. Everything is automatically, this is not like law of attraction. This is different. Everything is automatically created through your genius, but it's not because you are, it's not like a high vibrational thing. It's not like a moral issue. It's in your, it's actually in your generosity. Your genius is your generosity of sharing, of connecting that genius to something useful. That's in your humility. So in a sense, this intensive, this 5-day intensive is going to be about your humility. It's going to be about becoming humble to your genius, right? The last video I made is about arrogance and humility. We are arrogant toward our genius, and so of course we can't access it because we don't even know that that's what's happening. It's a fascinating issue. It's a really, you know, we have things totally backward, unfortunately. So, you know, I, like me going to this, to do this intensive, first of all, I'm getting it too. I get the medicine too. It's not like I'm going there to teach you something, right? That happens. That's like one of those side effects. I go there, teaching happens, but the magic is in the genius that happens. The magic is in the demonstration of the, I'm trying to use another word other than genius because I've said it so many times in this video, but the magic is in the what the unveiling of genius looks like. And in order for that to be revealed, you have to be living in a certain way. So it's about how you're living. It's about what your relationship is with yourself, that it propels your genius forward. And so, like, we can talk about that conceptually, which I do in these YouTube videos, and it's free on YouTube for a reason, because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it unless you've been studying this kind of stuff for a long time and you've had a felt sense of it. Most people are not going to get it from a free YouTube video. And so there's still a need to show up and experience it in person, and you experience it over and over and over again. That's why it's it's a several days experience, because if you're trying to get it by watching it once, it's not enough. If you're trying to get it by watching it 10 times, it's probably not enough. It's got to keep happening over and over again until you're like, oh, this pattern is not a pattern. Like the pattern I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for like, how many brush strokes does this artist do? That's not how it is. I'm looking for the pattern. How, like, what steps do they take in the rehearsal to make this scene really good? That's not how it works, right? I'm looking for the pattern. You know, what's the, you know, what kind of diet do they have in order to make this retreat go really well? That's not how it's going to work. Like, all of my teachers have different diets. All of my teachers have different approaches. All of my teachers have different mindsets. All of my teachers have different body types. All of my teachers have different everything. So what they do have in common, the way that they access their genius, there are certain mechanics to it that they do have in common, but it is very difficult to describe. You can't describe it. It's beyond words. So any words of talking about it, like, you know, when I talk to I'm going to say like an ordinary person, when I talk to someone who hasn't been studying this type of material, they accuse me of talking in circles. They accuse me of being a stoner. They accuse me of like, have faith in the process, is what I'm saying. Like, I could go on. Like, there's so many things that people throw back when I'm sharing about this stuff, because they don't understand the language. It's like I'm speaking, a lot of the time I'm speaking, and people who haven't been serious students or, you know, studying this for some length of time, they literally cannot hear the words that I'm saying. And, you know, that, not literally. They hear the words that I'm saying, but it sounds like gibberish, right? One of the most interesting things that I do is like trying to explain this stuff to my mom. It's like, it's so confounding, because, like, to me, I'm speaking English. I'm like, here's this thing. Here's the simplest I can make this idea. One sentence. Here's this one sentence. And she's like, I have no idea what you just said to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, how could I make this simpler? And it's so painful, but it's also so helpful. Because if I cannot explain it to her, then I need to be able to me. That's like what's so interesting. Sometimes I'll have like 3-hour conversations with her, and then she starts to get it like 2 hours and 45 minutes into the conversation. She's like, oh, why didn't you just say that from the beginning? And I'm like, I couldn't. I didn't. I, like, you know, her system says no to me over and over and over. Like, I don't get it. 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 So 3 hours into the conversation, she's like, oh, because she forced me to slice and dice it in so many ways, you know, sacrifice my understanding in order to arrive at her understanding. That's humility, right? I have to be able and willing to destroy my whole paradigm just so that she will understand one sentence. Doing that process is the process of creating a masterpiece. I was not trying to create a masterpiece in that example. But that last sentence that I tell her after 3 hours, whatever it is, whatever point I'm trying to explain to her, that final sentence is a masterpiece, right? It's because I actually am tuning in to, okay, she's telling me no, so I'm off target. She's telling me no, I'm off target. I keep retargeting, or you know, what do they call that? Course correcting until it lands. And then that I'm working for 3 hours to make a 1-sentence masterpiece. And it's frustrating and it's exhilarating at the same time. Making a masterpiece, it doesn't feel good. It's ecstatic, but it's very challenging. It's hitting you in the core of your frustration. And then you keep going, right? Normally people get frustrated and they tap out. You keep going. You don't buy into that frustration and keep moving and keep moving. And when you tap into the right octave of consciousness, you get it. And so at this retreat, we're going to be practicing that. And I have to practice that too. You know, it's not like everything I make is that octave, but everything, like I know the difference between when it's that and when it's not, right? That's the thing. It's like when I hit that octave, there's a knowing that occurs where I'm like, oh, that was it. That was it. It's the middle way. That's why Buddhism is called the middle way. Because you can push too hard, or you can not push enough. Not push enough, you're giving into the frustration. You push too hard, you're in the mind, and then you're overpowering your feelings. I've done a lot of pushing too hard and overpowering my feelings. I've been grieving that all the times that I've pushed too hard. And then you push too hard, you wear yourself out, and when it comes time, you don't have the energy to actually push when it's necessary. So it's pushing in the right way, and then also being able to submit in the right way. And when we have that balance off, our lives reflect that. So this process, the anatomy of a masterpiece, that is it is literally making our lives into a masterpiece. If your life is feeling like a masterpiece, or if you're moving in the direction of your life being a masterpiece, the rest is like, it doesn't matter. It makes the rest not matter. But if you're trying to make something in order to make your life a masterpiece, it makes that thing matter. And it's that matter. You know, matter is the physical thing. It makes that thing matter, and then you're stuck. That's the fixation. You're stuck. Right now, I'm sure someone's like, he's just talking in circles. This makes no sense. I'm talking about a very specific issue. And if you really investigate what I'm talking about, you can ask questions. If you really investigate what I'm talking about, it's a real thing. It's a physical thing. It's an issue. It's a physical issue. We get fixated on ideas, identities, and it causes us to become tunnel vision, right? We get tunnel vision, And it makes it so that we can't see anything else besides that. And so it's the fluidity that's needed. And when you have that fluidity, then life is a masterpiece. That's it. When your perception is fluid, it makes it so that everything you do is done from a fluid piece, from a fluid place, and that is the masterpiece of life that you're always creating. And then anything you do, anything that you touch, coming from that fluidity is powerful. But you don't need it to be. You understand? So it's the needing to be powerful or to look powerful. It's the needing that kills it. And so you could call this intensive how to stop needing a masterpiece. Does that make sense? How to stop needing your life to be a masterpiece gives you the fluidity to make it one. It's counterintuitive. That's why there's all these, that's why spirituality exists. That's why all these coaching, personality types, blah, blah, blah. That's why it all exists, is because it's counterintuitive. We are accidentally working against ourselves constantly until we unlearn that behavior, right? This is not even learning. It's literally is unlearning. And the point of, like, I'm like teaching right now, but this is not it. Like, you memorizing what I'm saying is not it. I'm talking to your knowing as I have this conversation with you. I'm talking to your knowing, and I'm lighting up your knowing. And if you don't get it, if it's not lighting up your knowing, that's where it becomes important to ask questions or go to somebody else who does light up your knowing, right? People speak in all their different kinds of languages. Like I said, all of my teachers have different approaches. And with some, you'll get it in different ways. You know, you get different things from different people. They light up your knowing in different ways. That you don't actually get anything from them. Their transmission helps you remember what you've always had and what you've forgotten. And that's not a, what is that word? Like a aphorism or something? It's not a metaphor. Like, you actually have a soul, and if you haven't found it, it doesn't mean it's not there. The price of the retreat is going to go up on the 20th of November, and the retreat includes lodging, probably a little bit of food, but you know, you're encouraged to bring your own food. It's like we're not going to have a whole lot of we're going to be very busy, right? So it's mostly about staying engaged. It's mostly about staying with the process, and you know, your sleeping is going to be more nourishing than food. You know, it's better to keep, in this kind of work, in my experience, it's better to keep your stomach not so full, because then you can be more agile, you can move more quickly, and you can move more accurately. So I'm going to wrap it up. Where do you go? trueparticipation.com/masterpiece, which is PIECE, in case it's hard to spell. Thank you so much for being with me on this video, and see you soon.